Good morning. The source of inspiration for this morning's worship, the biblical passage that I would like to reference would be the parable of the talents. It's a charge, but I'm not sure if it's necessarily a charge that sends people roaring out the door all fired up, because there's a little bit of risk, reward, and responsibility put together. So sometimes this is in the kitchen. It's not in the kitchen now, but before the Leonards head out, I like to look at this. It's Carl Bestweber 06 in the front office here that Kelly has put together as I charge into a semester soon. And as I lay out my 16 weeks before school starts, in the back corner, there's a Mary Cloud. And those artworks fill me the same way a charge and a benediction might fill me at the end of a service. So the parable of the talents is actually quite long, from the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. It starts like this: At that time, the kingdom of heaven will be like this. Once there was a man who was about to leave his home on a trip. He called his servants and he put them in charge of his property, and he gave to each one according to his ability. One gentleman gets 5,000 silver coins or 5 talents. Another gets 2,000 silver coins or 2 talents, and a third. But the servant who had received 1,000 coins, he receives 1,000 coins, and they invested. And the 5,000 gentleman returns 5,000 more, 2,000, 2,000 more. The servant who receives 1,000 coins goes off and buries it in a hole, so he doesn't lose anything, but he doesn't gain anything either. He sits on it, and when the master returns, he's pretty happy with the first two gentlemen, and the third tells him he was afraid. He admits, I'm afraid, so I went off and I hid your money in the ground. Look, here is what belongs to you. And the master tells him you should have deposited it in the bank. That's a safe choice. And it goes on to further close with, for every person who has something, even more will be given, and he will have enough. But for the person who has nothing, even the little he has is going to be taken away. So there's a little bit of anxiety when it comes to money with me. And this passage is about work, success, and wealth. And in reflecting and organizing for things come to my attention. One, that's personal. I might need a little bit of a community or friend to share the journey with. But universally, success is a product of work, and we are to use our ability for growing a common good, to build for our family, for our church family, for our world family. And we have been given what we need by God. So it really is put upon our shoulders, just like mom and dad did, to take what we have and generate a return. We are not all created equal, yet we can complement each other. I don't know why the gentleman with 1,000 coins didn't reach out to the folks with 5 and 2. We work for a common goal, and we should work for a common goal, not just our selfish purposes. So on a personal note with this, in my own teaching, I like to have units that connect historically, and I like to connect to people I would like to be like Kurt Anderson, who says, I throw awkward pots. I do awkward drawings, but it makes people laugh, and I feel pretty good about it. And I do too. That's a Kurt Anderson on a Jen Allen. Uh, but there's two real people who I would like to reference here that had been in my life, and maybe I took them for granted. And it wasn't until I was looking up, I should buy some more Tio Roberto jellies to send up for Christmas. And Rob and Sue Peterson, in pretty sharp succession, have are no longer with us on the planet Earth, but I think their teaching and their enrichment goes on. Sue was my principal at Weslaco East my last year of public school teaching in Weslaco before I went back to school full-time to pursue a graduate degree in art. I had an undergraduate degree in art, but to have workable talents, I got certified in math, and I'm certified for life in the state of Texas in both math and art at the secondary level. And in the mid-90s, Rob said, "Hey, Chris, you want to help coach the Little League soccer team under 10 that Aaron and Matt were on?" And I said, "Heck yes, sure," thinking that this would be fun to coach with Rob. He said, "Cool, I'm out of here. I'm back to school. You're coaching with Gume." And we didn't win a lot of games, but it was a worthwhile experience. And several years later, actually 2001, working for Sue and teaching some art and some math, I did the Rob Peterson. It's like, I'm going back to school and I'm going full time. And some of Rob's advice, you probably know this, maybe sometimes Chris Leonard doesn't pay attention. Sometimes you have to let go and let God. And it's worked out very different from my expectations. My expectations were to teach at some level. I wanted to return closer to home, where I grew up while the kids were small, but this is our home and they are no longer small. Fast forward to last night when I should have been putting this together, but Kelly and I watched Soul, with a Pixar animated movie, which I think is very good for all ages, that doesn't overtly hit the sacred realm, but it's a very nice blend of sacred and secular. That's how we say it in art appreciation, on reflection for life and life's purpose. And Joe, the jazz musician, who, unlike last Sunday's sermon of having the blueprint, which works well in woodworking, is a jazz musician where improvisation works well. And he gets a second chance at life because it's a movie. And his magic purpose maybe has been revealed as teaching, but he also understands that life in and of itself is pretty magical, and he decides he's going to live each and every minute, which is pretty cool. Watch it if you're looking for a good movie. And I think Rob and Sue live on. And as a new year with plenty of questions and a new semester opens for me, you know, those 4 things that I should do, I need reminders. So maybe I'll write them down and put them in the kitchen. But here they are. Success is relative, but it comes from working and trying. I work in clay. Clay is full of failure, but it's soft and squishy, and I've learned how to do mosaic. God gives us what we need, and it's up to us to water those seeds and grow them, to go after and let the world maybe help us figure out what we want to. Use our unequal diversity to complement each other, and also work for a common goal. And I think that's needed. So thank you.